do I start off this video? Hey guys, this is my favorite wakebait slash rat lure. Thank you for watching. Peace out. So I'm at my apartment, and that can only mean one thing. I am doing an unboxing today, and not only that, I am going over my favorite wakebait slash rat lure today. Now I kind of combine a wakebait and a rat lure as like kind of the same category, only because kind of in both instances you're going to be able to use them both as a topwater or as a crank down. So you'll be able to use them like 6 inches underneath the water or create a lot of noise on top of the surface. Now although it's kind of late winter, early spring where I live in New Hampshire and topwaters don't really work this time of the year, I completely understand that most of the country right now can use topwater baits and catch fish. So I kind of thought now was an appropriate time to make this video, especially because where I ordered this box from, they only have a limited amount of baits. So if you're interested in the bait I'm talking about, you really have to hurry up and go to the hookup tackle, only because I don't really know any other spots to get this bait in here other than Amazon or eBay, and both those websites have this bait way overpriced. So stay tuned because there is some very important things I'm going to say later. But let's just kind of get into my favorite kind of wake bait slash rat bait. This is a Valley Hill Boogie Back, and just to spec it out for you guys, it is 3 3/4 inches long and weighs 1.4 ounces. So this bait is not the heaviest. You'll be able to get away with throwing this literally from a medium power rod to a heavy rod, and I'll show you the differences on why I throw it on a medium and a heavy. But as you guys can tell, this bait has taken some abuse. I've actually thrown it against a concrete dam a couple times, and it still works just fine. Now this particular color is the female bluegill color. Now Valley Hill calls that bait Kinkatsu. Come here. Come here, give me a hug. Now I've owned this bait for 3 years, and I've caught some good largemouth and some good smallmouth on this bait, especially smallmouth. I've caught 4-pound smallmouth in one night using this bait, and that's actually pretty good for me. I know some people say they do that every single night they go out, but not me. To catch 4-pound smallmouth in one night is actually really good for me. Now this bait is from Japan. Now the Valley Hill Boogie Back is a tough bait to get. I've only really seen this at the hookup tackle, eBay, and Amazon, and that hookup tackle has by far the best selection of colors when they have this bait in stock. They haven't had this bait in stock for like months and months, but actually just a couple weeks ago the hookup tackle restocked in a couple colors of this bait, and on eBay and Amazon you're really only going to get like 3 different colors, but the hookup tackle came out with like 6 different colors, and I was able to pick up my favorite color for both smallmouth and largemouth. On my YouTube channel I have a couple videos where I catch some nice largemouth and smallmouth on this bait, so I definitely have some history with this bait. And when the hookup tackle came in stock with 6 different colors, I could not pass that up. I went out and I bought 2 more Valley Hill Boogie Backs, only because, I mean, as you guys can tell, this thing is pretty beat up. It is missing that back hook. So in case you're kind of curious about a wake bait is kind of one of the easiest lures to throw. All you kind of have to do for some of the baits is cast out and just do a straight retrieve, and you're doing it the right way. But with this Valley Hill Boogie Back, if you keep your rod tip up and reel kind of slow, you'll keep this bait on the top of the surface. Or if you keep your rod tip low and reel in a little bit faster, you can kind of send this bait 6 inches underneath the surface. But like 99% of the time you're going to be seeing me use this as a topwater slash wake bait, only because that's where I think this bait excels. You definitely can crank this underneath the surface and it'll catch you bass, but I just had better luck using this as a topwater bait. Now as you guys can tell, the Valley Hill Boogie Back is not the biggest bait. This rat bait here is only about 5.5 inches. But as you guys can tell, it is quite the bigger profile. But you guys can clearly tell why I kind of put these in the same category. They are both a single joint and they both have that big lip on it. But the reason why I prefer the Valley Hill Boogie Back, because in my opinion, this is almost like the perfect bluegill profile. It's not too tall where the smaller bass won't eat it, and it's not too small where the larger bass won't even go for it. Because kind of the way that I think about it, if you're trying to target that big bass, why use a small bait? A hungry bass isn't going to eat a Skittle when it's hungry. It's going to eat this bigger bait, like a nice big fried chicken nugget or a nice big steak. It's not going to be eating like a 1 or 2 inch grub. It's going to be feeding on bigger bluegill. And just take a listen to this noise. Just something about that little clicking noise really seems to attract the bass for me. And I've also caught like 5-pound largemouth, 1-pound largemouth. With this rat lure, you're really kind of targeting the bigger fish. And in some circumstances, this rat lure would work definitely better than this Valley Hill Boogie Back. But generally speaking, I'll have this bait tied on a lot more than that PB rat. But another reason why I like this kind of bluegill style wake bait is because in New Hampshire, the fish feed on mainly bluegill and crawfish. They don't feed on shad at all. Only because in New Hampshire, the shad would die every winter, so we don't have any shad in New Hampshire. So a lot of the bass kind of feed on this bluegill profile. And this is, like I said, the perfect size in my opinion where the bass won't choke on it. Now the hookup tackle is selling this wake bait for $30 right now. Typically it's a $40 bait. So if you guys are interested in buying this bait, I would go to the hookup tackle only because Amazon and eBay kind of sell this bait for around $50. So the hookup tackle actually has a pretty good deal on these right now. Although a lot of their colors are sold out now, you're only going to be able to choose from maybe 3 or 4 different colors. Now in this box here, I have a color that I would use for smallmouth 90% of the time, and then I have a color that I would use for largemouth 90% of the time. I might interchange them depending on the situation, but for the most part, you guys will see what I mean when I open up this box. Now, full disclosure, I did already open this box only because I really wanted to make sure the order was right, because these are my favorite baits and I didn't want any mistakes to happen. So let's just dive in at the moment. So as you guys can tell, not much to the box. 2 baits. Alright, So I picked up both of these baits from the hookup tackle for $30 a piece. And let's kind of just go over this female gill color, Valley Hill calls it. This is awesome. I'm not gonna lie. It's definitely heavier. So you guys can kind of see why I ordered a new female gill color. The one that I had was pretty beat up, and this new female gill color is awesome. Now this bait here is the one that I would use for smallmouth like 90% of the time. And that's just kind of because on lakes and ponds that have both largemouth and smallmouth, the smallmouth really kind of tend to hit this a little bit more. And one interesting fact as well, the new Valley Hill Boogie Back weighs a little bit more than this one. I don't know if it's because it's missing so much paint and the back treble hook. I can feel the difference right now. This one is definitely a little bit heavier than this one. So when I'm using this bait, like 90% of the time, I'm just using a slow and steady retrieve. So the bass only hear this. There's just something about this bait. There's a bunch of wake baits that are on the market, but I really do think this one outfishes the other ones. One, I do think because of that profile is like a perfect bluegill. So just to reiterate, this is the female bluegill color, and I believe Valley Hill calls this the Kankatsu color. So moving on to the other Valley Hill Boogie Back bait I bought. This one I bought because it looks like a frog, and it's literally as simple as that. I thought this bait would kill the largemouth. Not literally, but I mean I would just catch a lot of largemouth in a single day with this bait. And what kind of sold me on this bait was that eyeball. Like, look how distinct that big, bold, yellow eye is. Now, I'm not a big believer that colors make a big difference, but I am a believer in eyes make a difference. I really like big, bold eyes. Not only my wake baits, but also like jerk baits and swim baits and stuff like that. But when I saw this color, J, I immediately thought of largemouth. Because this bait is definitely more opaque than the female bluegill color, I figured I could use this in clear water for smallmouth, and then this in a little bit more dirty water for largemouth. Now I'm about to go into why I throw this on a medium power rod and why I would throw this on a heavy power rod. This bait is super versatile. You really don't need a specific rod to throw this. Any medium heavy would work perfect with this bait. You don't have to get fancy. Your favorite brand of rods. Now, the rod I use the most for that Valley Hill Boogie Back is a St. Croix Premier medium power rod with 17-pound monofilament. Now, I use monofilament like 90% of the time because I'm using this bait in like open water. In open water, 17-pound monofilament works perfect. You're not going to snap off. Now this rod is rated from 1/4 ounce to 3/4 ounce. Now I know what you're thinking, like, Dersch, that bait was 1.5 ounces. Why are you throwing it on a medium power rod? And that's pretty simple. When I'm throwing this in open water, I really do prefer the medium power rods, only because this bait does have treble hooks, and I really do think that medium power rod really holds the fish a little bit better in open water. Now that being said, I also throw a heavy power rod with braid. This is a St. Croix Bass X heavy rod, and I also throw the Valley Hill Boogie Back on that heavy rod as well, but only in certain circumstances. Like if I'm fishing around lily pads or milfoil, places where I fish like heavy cover, I would use a heavy power rod with braid. And it's literally that simple. If I'm fishing this bait in open water, it's a medium power rod. But if I'm fishing this bait around trees and snags and stuff like that, it's going to be at least a heavy power rod. And that's because with treble hooks, I really do like more of a bend in my rod. It's because I think that holds the fish a little bit better, but at the same time, if I'm fishing around like lily pads and trees like that, I like that heavy power rod with braid because I can kind of pull that fish towards me and horse them a little bit more. I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, horsing the fish on treble hooks, but that's what you kind of have to do when you're using a bigger kind of swim bait style bait. So if you've been following, I had friggin' hiccups for the past 15 minutes. And I'm not going to stop the video now. So if you've been following my channel, you guys kind of know I'm kind of in the middle of a giveaway. Now, not just any giveaway, this is a giveaway of a limited edition Megabass Vision 110, and this color is called Okawa. Now, as you guys can tell, in the top left corner, it says Fine Art. Now, the cool thing about these Fine Art Vision 110s is that these are made basically once in a lifetime. There's like 3 tiers to Megabass painting. For Megabass Vision 110s, all of them are hand painted, and Megabass has like 3 tiers of painters. You have like the amateurs, then the intermediates, and then basically you have the master. And the masters are the ones who paint these Fine Art limited edition Megabass lures. And I'm giving away one today. These hiccups are something else, man. Holy poo, man. So, not every unboxing video I do a giveaway, but every giveaway is going to be an unboxing video, and today's video is no different. Now, I kind of pick a random person from a few videos ago to be the winner. And the winner of this bait is Old Man of the Mountain. Now, congratulations to Old Man of the Mountain. You have won this bait. Now, all you have to do to claim this bait is hit me up on Instagram or my email. My Instagram is at @NateAndersch, or my email is at nateandersch93.com. Now, just all you have to do is send me an address where you want me to send this bait, and I'll send this out to you immediately. So, Old Man of the Mountain, just hit me up on my Instagram or email, and I will send you this bait. Now, that being said, in 2 weeks, if I don't get an email or message on Instagram, I'm going to be sending this bait out to somebody else. You only have 2 weeks to claim this prize. Otherwise, like I said, I'm going to be sending it to somebody else. I feel like I'm forgetting something in this video, but thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Peace.